Hi, I'm Lee Mulkey, President and CEO of Purchase Parts Group. I'm speaking with you today to bring every employee up to date on how we've done through the first half of the year. Also, to give you an update on the progress we've made towards our Get Well plan. Joining me today is Bruce Kulzer, our new Vice President and Chief Financial Officer, and Tom Saunders, our Senior Vice President for Programs and Services Group. They're going to give you all the details of the first half, but before they do, let me just give you my overall perspective. First of all, I think we've come a long way in the first half. Our sales are trending upward for the first time in 2 years. We've returned to profitability after significant losses the previous 2 years. We're on schedule with all of our Get Well plans, and we've got several new exciting business opportunities that Tom's going to talk to you about. Finally, we've come a long way towards developing the trust and confidence of our owners in Purchase Parts Group's future. Now, for a financial perspective, let me turn it over to Bruce. Bruce?
Thank you, Lee. The entire Purchase Parts Group team has much to be proud of after the first 6 months of the year 2000. We have made tremendous progress towards the turnaround of our organization. I'll be sharing with you 4 charts that depict some of this progress. From a sales perspective, the slide that you now see demonstrates the upward trend that our organization has had in our sales performance. We need to, as a team, continue or even accelerate this sales trend in order to continue the turnaround of Purchase Parts Group. Each of us have to be focused on servicing, meeting, or exceeding our customer expectations to accomplish this sales performance. This next slide shows a significant improvement that we've made in our management of accounts receivable. Both receivables and inventory represent the most significant investments that this company has, and our ability to manage that is critical to our turnaround. This slide demonstrates the improvement we've made in managing aged receivables. As an account receivable exceeds 60 days, the chances of our being unable to collect that receivable increases. As you can see, since the end of last year, the percentage of receivables exceeding 60 days has reduced from over 20% to under 8% in June of this year. There have been similar improvements in our total receivable dollars outstanding. In fact, from a cash flow standpoint, this has enabled us to contribute over $1.5 million in cash flow so far this year. Recently, I've heard many comments from people in the field about how they're not receiving questions from our suppliers regarding the payment practices of Purchase Parts Group. As you can see from this slide, the payment pattern of our organization has improved dramatically since the end of last year. Where previously we were paying our suppliers in 60 to 70 days, we've reduced that to a payment practice of between 45 and 50 days. This improvement will be critical in gaining the support of our suppliers for furthering our sales growth as an organization. All of our efforts ultimately have to result in the improved profitability of our organization. As you can see from this chart, so far this year our operating profit exceeds $2 million, and we're projected to earn $4.5 million for the full year. This is clearly an improvement over 1999's loss of almost $3 million, and our year-to-date operating profit meets or exceeds any full-year operating profit for any of the prior 5 years. As I said earlier, we've got much to be proud of as an organization and what we've accomplished so far, and we need to continue that progress. Now Tom will take us through some of the accomplishments from a sales and operations perspective. Tom?
Thank you very much, Bruce. I appreciate that. As we said at the beginning of the year, there were 3 major changes that were going to take place in the sales organization in order to bring about the growth that we had anticipated for Purchase Parts Group. I'd like to discuss each and every one of those individually. First was the retention of the customer base that we had. It was imperative that if we continue growth, we had to keep those customers we presently had in place and under contract. It is important, I think, that we understand and recognize that we have stopped the bleeding of customers leaving the organization so far this year. We applaud each of your efforts in doing that, and we're also very glad to announce that Carrier has re-signed for a contract for us for 3 years in Georgia. In addition to the retention of our customer base, we also identified that growth within the existing customers was also going to help us achieve the growth objectives that we had for the year 2000. I've identified about 4 different customers who have helped contribute to this objective that we had. First is with Lear Corporation in Kansas City. Recently we were just awarded a few number of parts that are going to account for over $700,000 in additional sales. Also at Cooper Industries, both in the United States and in Mexico, in Monterrey and in Mexicali, through the efforts of operations and sales, we have had the opportunity to bid and be awarded subassembly work in addition to a lot of fastener business that we anticipate to exceed over $1 million here within the next 6 months. Also at Toyo Seat on our traditional side of the house, they just were awarded a significant amount of business that we anticipate lasting for over 4 years with PPG. And lastly, Johnson Controls, a very significant customer to PPG, has recently awarded to a single lead supplier called Facile. We have been working with them diligently over the last 6 months, and we are nearing award of a contract to provide both point-of-use services for the 6 existing POU plants that we offer today, with the addition of one which we have not in the past, as well as providing dock-to-dock services for 48 locations that is going to comprise over $35 million. Through these efforts, that penetration is going to help us achieve these growth objectives that we have for the company. Lee mentioned earlier exciting new business opportunities that are going to help support the growth in the year 2000 for PPG and beyond. I'd like to mention 2 of those areas right now. First is in the area of contract warehousing and logistics, where we're in final contract negotiations with a couple of customers that have international and domestic operations, and we hope to announce these awards in the very near future. Second is our minority supplier program. We're very pleased to announce that in the near future we will have an alliance partnership with a minority distributor in the Great Lakes region that will be able to provide minority content to our very important customers in the automotive and the HVAC industry. The last area I'd like to mention is the need to get alignment between our sales and operations. There are major concerns that we have as a management staff that we bring together both sets of operations and show a unified approach to our customers in every operation that we have with them. I have challenged both the Vice President of Sales and the Vice President of Operations to take this as a major step forward in the next 6 months in developing those solutions that will bring about a unified approach to our customers and solve the internal issues that prohibit some of the growth that we could have had in the first 6 months of operations. And now I'd like to turn this back over to Lee.
Thank you, Tom. Yes, it's true we've come a long way in the first half, but we've also had some disappointments. Some of those disappointments are these. While we have grown our sales backlog is not at the point where I thought it would be at this time of the year. It's very important that we fill the sales pipeline so that we go into next year with a full backlog. Sales growth will be our top priority for the second half of the year. The next disappointment I have is really between our sales and operations group and our lack of communication and the conflict there. Tom spoke about this earlier, but we've had some significant problems in this area that I think have really caused us some customer service problems and have impeded our growth in terms of sales. It is a personal responsibility for me to work with Tom and our sales and operations executives to try to improve this communication. Well, that's a segue into our second half priorities. As you can see from the graph, our priorities now are going to be to focus on sales growth, build alliances with key suppliers. This is going to be very important going forward so that we can stay price competitive in the future. We also want to complete our purchasing and inventory control projects. Some of you know this as the buyer's workbench or our automated purchasing systems. There's going to be significant improvements in efficiency and our ability to control our inventories and actually reduce our acquisition costs of materials when this system comes online later this month. And then finally, we have to continue our focus on improving our warehouse and logistics efficiencies. Those are our top priorities for the second half of the year. In closing, I'd like to thank each and every one of you for the hard work for the first half of the year. The executive team and the owners know that without your hard work and dedication, none of these achievements would have been possible. We also know that without your continued support, we can't make Purchase Parts Group into the company that we'd all like to see. You know, there's going to be continued change as we had in the first half, and with that change comes uncertainty sometimes. But I want you to know that these changes are going to be absolutely necessary for us to continue the progress in Purchase Parts Group and make it a company with a bright future. We will continue to update you on our progress and keep you informed of all major events. As always, you can feel free to email me with your suggestions and comments, and we have initiated our hotline again, so if you'd like to call that instead, the number is 888-856-5925. We also have included the number in the cover letter that went with this video. As always, your questions and comments on the employee hotline will be held in the strictest of confidence. On behalf of Bruce, Tom, the owners, and myself, thank you very much.